30th. We are officially now calling to order and welcoming everybody to the May 30th, 2024 HHRC meeting. We can do a really quick approval of minutes. So can I get
Move to
a movement? Yes,
movement.
second that. Yes, okay, so we are moved and seconded for the minute. And then we didn't have any agenda items submitted online. We did have an application for membership, which we'll talk about a little later. So now we're at time for public input, which would be Brian.
So now you can go.
I'll jump right in. And first, let me just say thank you for having me, David. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the background to the conversation. And that's exactly right. I think it was Aubrey on our team that you spoke with last year. And the National Fitness Campaign really works on a calendar year cycle. It's the grant program. So the purpose as we come back around is really just to align timing, to find out the best time to work with Jefferson County and really support your community in joining the program, joining the National Fitness Campaign. So what I'd like to do tonight, if it works for the team, for the commission, is to kind of describe what that is, describe the National Fitness Campaign as a whole, the organization, its mission, impact, and then talk about specifically how that grant program works in the state of Indiana. So does that work for everybody if I share my screen and take y'all through that?
I'm good.
Then, oh, it looks like I'm not able to share my screen. Is that a disabled feature?
Under settings.
I think it said that just trying.
Oh, you know what? I think, yep, that might have done it.
Because it was just, well, it was set up just for one at a time, so.
Oh, sure. Sure. So I've got this up on the screen. Can everybody see these happy, smiling folk?
Yes.
And before I jump in, I should ask, did y'all get a chance to watch the campaign video, the 3-minute campaign video kind of describing the National Fitness Campaign?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
You can play that, or you can play it.
Yeah, I'd say even afterward, it's just a great way to really talk about the overall impact of the National Fitness Campaign. So yeah, Dave, that'd be great to share that link around. I could send it your way right after the meeting. But I'm starting first with this ribbon cutting ceremony, in fact, of a fitness court, of that fitness pad that you described. This is actually a site not too far from either of us. I'm up here in Chicago, so this site is in Michigan, just straight north of you all. I think it's important to start with the fitness court, with that infrastructure piece of the campaign, because it's the most visible part, I guess, of what the National Fitness Campaign does, but really only one aspect of the work. And I want to start then by stepping back and talking about the National Fitness Campaign overall. The National Fitness Campaign itself is a interdisciplinary wellness consulting firm dedicated as an organization to building healthy communities across the country. The campaign actually was conceived way back in the late 70s, starting first with the wood and steel workout stations. I'm sure you've seen, the group here has seen in parks, along running paths around the country. National Fitness Campaign actually established over 10,000 of those over the years, over the 70s and 80s, with the support of Wells Fargo Bank, on its way to becoming, still today, America's largest public-private wellness partnership. Since that time, the National Fitness Campaign has evolved, has modernized its approach within the past decade. Since that point, we've reached 500 healthy communities. Actually, just hit that milestone late last year. There was some celebration on the team, but really more excitement because the campaign is funded, is on track to fully double in size, another 500 by 2025. So we're really benefiting from a growth in the mission and a much larger grant pool in the coming years that's already been confirmed. I think it's worth noting that in all those years, the campaign's mission, its focus has been consistent. As an organization, we are passionate about that mission to build healthy communities, knowing that when cities are designed to encourage people to spend more time outdoors, engaging in healthy habits, health outcomes improve. So in that sense, the National Fitness Campaign is dedicated to providing the tools, the infrastructure, the services, the programming to help civic leaders create that positive health impact in their communities by making world-class fitness free, accessible, fully equitable across all populations in the community. And joining us in that mission are some of America's largest, most well-respected healthcare organizations. It's really on their behalf that I'm able to be here today. These organizations support the National Fitness Campaign and specifically fund that pool of grants at the core of this year's Healthy Cities Grants Initiative. So what is that work that the campaign does as a community wellness consulting firm? Well, the National Fitness Campaign works with communities, with cities, counties, schools, colleges, first to study existing fitness infrastructure and build strategic plans in order to assist municipalities in the planning, the funding, the building and activating of a network of free outdoor fitness courts, all in order to create that culture of wellness, encouraging regular outdoor movements, daily exercise, social engagement with our neighbors on these free public spaces. So in that way, you can think of the National Fitness Campaign as really equal parts services and infrastructure. So at the core, the heart of the campaign is that fitness court, but it's really more of a comprehensive community wellness program that lives on that infrastructure. So all of these supportive services from conception to launch and then continued through with partnership with the community to create an access to fitness, to host fitness activity and really make it just removing the barrier to access of fitness in the community. So at the heart of the campaign is the fitness court. This is that free to the public outdoor bodyweight fitness center. It is a digitally activated space, as David mentioned, powered by the free Fitness Court app. This is one that you could download ahead of time, or if you find yourself on the fitness court, there are QR codes on the fitness court taking you right to the app to download, replete with coaching advice, videos of workouts, library of those workouts, challenges, all to engage with the community. But it's not required. That's the nice thing about it is it is also something that somebody could be guided by you see the mural wall there on the back, guiding exercises, guiding people through this 7-movement workout. And it's specifically built around that 7 bodyweight movement pattern, core, squat, push, lunge, pull, agility, and bend. And I call those out specifically for 2 reasons. First, to underscore that there's no equipment needed, just your own body moving onto the fitness court. And 2, all of those movements are fully scalable because accessibility is fundamental to this layout, to this design. In fact, it's all ADA compliant equipment. This is designed for adults of all ages, all ability levels. So we'll see everything from student athletes using this for team training, all the way up to aging individuals using this for movement and mobility. So that broad-based appeal across the community. This design has been a part of the campaign for about a decade now, and expansion of that idea introduced last year is kind of a more powerful tool in the campaign's arsenal, the Fitness Court Studio. This is twice the size of the popular fitness court. You'll still see the bodyweight circuit training center on the far side. Adding to that, though, essentially a community wellness hub, a classroom space, an outdoor space that can host, anchor, whatever group activities often are already going on in the community. We'll see dance classes, Zumba, yoga in the park, those free form activities that allow for greater social interaction, that allow for people to not only engage in fitness by themselves, but engage in fitness together. So in that way, it's leading to more engagement, a greater tool for health impact. And then one more piece of infrastructure I want to touch on is the mural wall, the unique work of art that is each fitness court. So this is kind of a personal favorite component, to be honest. Each community partner has an opportunity to collaborate with the National Fitness Campaign to design their fitness court to reflect community's identity, values, Multiple options available. One of the more popular I'll call out is the Local Artist Grant Program. This is really a separate grant program. It requires some additional funding, but it's an opportunity to engage with the artistic community, soliciting submissions, one of which is selected by the NSC Grants Committee, by the community partner, to go on the mural wall with an acknowledgement to that artist, and then that artist receives themselves a $5,000 grant for their work. So personally, I just love to see the standard design of the fitness court go out into the world and really show how the community takes ownership of it, enhancing the space that it's a part of. Beyond the infrastructure, though, the last thing I want to touch on is the partnership itself, which is, I think, really what the National Fitness Campaign does. More than building infrastructure nationwide, it's building these partnerships with communities in order to create the positive health outcomes. So it's important to note, I think, what goes into that, the shared values that make for a successful partnership. And it really comes down to 5 areas of overlap, 5 key areas. The first is just wanting to join the National Fitness Campaign, wanting to be a part of this public-private wellness partnership in order to create those health outcomes at both an individual level, but also the community-wide level, at that macro level, creating a community based around movement, on foot, on bike, not just in our cars, a community that offers social engagement with our neighbors, which all of these lead to the ultimate good, the ultimate goal of reducing healthcare costs in this country. So, as promised, a very broad overview of the National Fitness Campaign. Before I jump into this year's grant initiative, any questions I can answer?
Don't think so.
So that kind of brings us to the purpose of the briefing tonight, which is, as I mentioned before, really supporting Jefferson County and joining the campaign. And I want to describe how that partnership comes together. So in 2024, the National Fitness Campaign is funded to welcome on about 200 new partners, approximately 200 new partners nationwide across 50 states. That translates to about 5 per state. In a larger state like Indiana, probably between 5 and 8 grants to be awarded this year. Given, though, the long-term funding available to expand the program over the next decade, we're recommending that interested municipalities start the process now, explore feasibility, establish that consensus of support, just so that appropriate staff support from the campaign can be aligned for the community. And here's what that looks like: the grant program requirements to apply for and to be awarded grant funding. So 4 program requirements. I'll run through each of these and then kind of circle back around, and we can maybe discuss each in a little greater detail. The first is leadership support. Establishing, is a wellness initiative like this a priority within the community? Typically, it's done by sharing that 3-minute campaign video is a great tool for engagement, but also just these kinds of meetings, ensuring that key stakeholders, decision makers are briefed, have had the opportunity to ask questions, and just establishing if there is leadership support, consensus of support for programs such as this. Once that's been established, once wellness is established as a priority, the next step is identifying qualifying sites with impact. And this, I think, is the most important step in the process. The National Fitness Campaign takes exceptional care in identifying locations, potential fitness court locations that will have the greatest contribution in building that wellness culture in the community. So it's a process of scoring each site, scoring suggested sites, really based on a rubric around 3 key criteria: sites that are visible, accessible, and connected to a pedestrian infrastructure. So those sites, really more than anything else, almost guarantee, they strongly guarantee that success, that engagement in the community. Sites that are active, sites that are connected, and sites that are visible. In this year in particular, in 2024, the Grants Committee has a special emphasis on larger grants in excess of $100,000, going to partners interested in creating a broad-based impact with a multi-site program. And then the NFC team supports at this stage, helping guide through that site selection process, scoring sites based on that criteria to identify which would be the most impactful, which would qualify for the largest share of funding, which leads to the third step in the process, which is the funding match, part of what we do at the campaign. The total funding required for participation in the 2024 campaign per site is roughly $150,000 to $225,000, depending on the configuration of the fitness court, the art program. Grant funding is available for qualified locations in Indiana, provides an important share of the funds. And at the next stage of the process, National Fitness Campaign supports in establishing that grant match, identifying funding sources, local matches, creating an installation plan, all to help bring this together, help to achieve the funding match for the grant award, which leads to the fourth and final stage in the process, which is the grant funding itself. So once those other three metrics are met, established, at least at a baseline level, is there leadership support? Are there potential sites that would qualify along that criteria? Is there a plausible funding match? Once those can be described, the NFC Grants Committee invites the community to apply. It is an invitation-only grant application, but it is a non-binding application, a non-binding award as well. And then the support continues through that application and award phase, through the planning, construction, and then up to the ribbon cutting and launch of the initiative across the community. So that's getting a little ahead of myself still at this stage of the cycle. At the direction of our state and national sponsors, we're now qualifying communities in Indiana to apply to join the campaign. And that's really the focus of the conversation is when's the right time for Jefferson County and the community to come on board. So I do have a bunch of questions for you all, but let me pause and open up the floor. Are there any questions I can answer right off the bat?
The question that I had was related to, you said early on in the process, there was a form of like community assessment in which you helped the community identify deficits and ways in which that could be aided. Do you extend recommendations for the community improvement beyond these sites specifically in terms of navigating that recommendation process?
It was a little muffled, but I think I heard the question. It was whether that site feasibility study extends beyond the fitness court site. Is it?
Yes.
It does. And in fact, it really is a collaborative conversation. So just to give you a little background into that site feasibility study is applying a lens. It's similar to what the Trust for Public Land does, but it really takes more of a fitness lens. So taking into account population density, pedestrian activity, park activity, green space, income distribution in the community, things like that help lead to essentially a healthy site score. So our team will look at green spaces, look at park spaces, and score based on that. Now, a lot of that data is looking backward. We also want to take into account future planning. So a big part of what this site feasibility study is aligning with future planning, supporting that process. So just by way of example, there's a lot of conversations at this stage on how can we support a new trail network? How can we maximize usage? How can we create a destination within that network? So it is collaborative. There is some recommendation beyond the fitness court site. Does that answer your question? Does that give you a better picture?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you. Yeah. And the good news is the site study, that site feasibility study, is one of the services supported by our sponsors. So this is done at no cost to the community. This is something that we're able to provide really just to enhance the conversation.
Where are we in the process at this point as a county?
Great question. Let me
Super
run.
interesting.
I'll describe how it typically works for this calendar year, and I'll share this. Dave, I'll send this slide deck your way. I think you might have a previous version. There've been some updates this year, that studio layout in particular. This slide in particular kind of lays out the timing portion. I'll describe how it typically works and where we are in Indiana. So I mentioned earlier, we're expecting between 5 and 8 grants to be awarded in Indiana. It's difficult to say exactly how many because it's based on that national pool, 200 nationwide. But I can tell you that states like Idaho, Alaska probably won't take their full allotment. So there might be some that could be distributed to other states. Thus far, Indiana has been awarded, I can't recall if it's 6 or 7 at this point, grants for the year. So there's still some funds available. There's still some grants that can be allocated in Indiana. Right now, we're still, though, in that application phase. We're still talking to communities. We're still helping some qualify for that grant funding to help build the fitness infrastructure. And that really moves on a rolling basis. So that process will continue for probably the next 30 to 60 days, establishing fundamentals of support, those grant program requirements. And then the award phase will move really, they'll take full steam later this summer, continuing to award those grants out to communities and then supporting the launch process through the rest of the summer. So for some communities that have already been awarded, just 2 examples, Maryville, in the northwest part of the state and Marion, Indiana are already scheduled to launch their fitness courts later this summer. Some will still be launching into the fall. And in some cases, some of the grants that are awarded this year, the launch might not be until next year, just because the park might not be ready. It might be part of a larger park infrastructure. So there is some flexibility with the launch phase. But the grant application and award phase will really be through the summer months. So I'm sorry, that was a mouthful. Did that answer your question or give you some good information?
Sure, yeah, I mean, we as a commission have been around for about a year, and just from our own digging through our community, we're seeing lots of needs for this sort of thing. So I guess what's important for us to know is like how we can be of aid and what would our role be in these phases of processes.
Yeah, I think, and I'll just jump back to those grant program requirements. That's a great question. And, I think that first step, that leadership support is so crucial. It is fundamental. You all work in public governance, knowing that when things align with priorities, when there's that leadership support, it's funny how quickly and how much feasibility there is in getting things done. If there's not that leadership support, if it doesn't align with, say, park master plan priorities, or if it isn't on the radar, it won't move forward. So to answer your question specifically, I think the best thing is how can we bring this in front of county leadership, or David, you mentioned some city leadership, really establishing this as a priority for the communities. Hey, there's an opportunity to use this health initiative to create positive health outcomes in across the county. So I guess that's both an answer and a question. How would be the best way to move forward with that conversation with leadership in the community?
And I think we can be kind of the voice to the city of Madison, to Bethany Legacy Foundation, to the town of Hanover. I don't know if it's a combination, town of Hanover College. I mean, I think there's some things to take this message out and see what kind of leadership support there is. I mean, I think the county would be interested. We were going to struggle to find a site that that checks the boxes to make it a site that's probably something that would have a high enough score that we could move forward with. I mean, would it be something that maybe at a new campground, should that happen, that would we want to put something like this in? We might, but we would probably do that outside of a grant process. So
what areas are we scoring low on currently that we would need to identify to pick up those numbers, or identify areas that would better qualify us for it?
But I mean, walking access would be difficult, even at Jefferson Proving Ground, where the plan is for a new campground to reach there. So, but there are plenty of other things You know, there's a trail initiative going on. Is there something that this can play a part of or be in addition to that? You know, with the city, I mean, down around the riverfront, they put in, the pool is now open. Are there some spaces there where something like this could go in? I mean, it's nice in that it's not a huge, you know, it's not 100 yards by 100 yards. It's a 40 by 40. I mean, it's something fairly compact, but it's got a lot of things in it that I think we all would agree that people need to get out and do it.
Sure.
So,
If I could, I think you made some excellent points there, and if I could just cite two examples from nearby, from Kentucky, that I think speak to that conversation. The first is the site in Richmond, Kentucky. It was just launched last year. It's at kind of what you describe, a passive park, Lake Reba in Richmond, Kentucky. It's not connected to a pedestrian infrastructure. It's not something that you could walk from downtown to this park, but it is still nevertheless a highly active pedestrian infrastructure. It's where people go for that 2-mile walk after work, or, hey, I'm going to take my dogs and go for a long walk on the weekend. So it has high foot traffic, even though it might not be part of that city grid system. Another example to cite is a site that actually just launched last week. There was a ribbon cutting ceremony on the 22nd in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. So just to the southwest of you all, I believe. And this site was a kind of a cooperative, a multi-level government cooperative. It was a county site, but it really was a school district initiative. So it's not uncommon for when there is some good cooperation between agencies, that might be needed sometime to bring it to life. So maybe there's a particular site that works well, but it is a county program, a county-led program. Something that the campaign supports, something that we can help coordinate, and wouldn't be completely unusual.
Interesting. We have so many nonprofits in town that do focus on health. There'd be lots of good partners, and ones with space are ones like the Hanover Community Garden. And we do have like this trail network that's supposed to happen between Hanover and Madison.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been, I don't know all the details of that, but that's something that's been in the works for a while.
sure. So the READY grants
Yeah.
initially through federal funding, but now through state funding, there is a project along those lines. So, yeah, and that's my thought is, and we tie some of these things together. I think, you know, we take this information, we talk to some of these folks and kind of gauge the interest level of support. But I think we can be the voices for that, and try to get that. If we, you know, we see that there's interest, it's probably another meeting to bring Brian along and let him, since he's gonna know the details, if they ask a lot of questions for the city of Madison, but I think Bethany Legacy, I know it's mental health, but this kind of fitness is indeed a better thing for mental health. So I think they might have a little interest in it as well.
So do we need to vote on, whether or not to move forward in trying to have conversations with this, or is that something we can just do as a committee?
I think we can just do as a committee. I don't think we make a formal
Sure.
proposal. Sure. Sure, I think we start that and engage the interest, and then,
Maybe
we can-
invite some of the other,
yes,
groups here.
Right.
So that they can hear from Brian also.
right. That was originally planned. I just let the ball drops.
So invite people to our upcoming meetings.
Yes.
Brian.
Well, and you said that there was a video, so we can put that video on our site.
Yep.
So that way they'll know
Sure.
why.
Did you get the link to DJ and he can put it in tonight's minutes so
Sure.
we can view it?
Great.
Yeah.
Right, so, do we need to, basically divvy out different people to reach out to for all of us? for trying to
Sure.
meet at the next meeting? The one that I won't be at?
Or maybe
That's
meeting
okay.
after.
We're looking at July.
I mean, I can talk to the
Okay.
city and the town of Hanover.
Okay,
Do you think the college would be interested in a partnership with the town of Hanover?
I imagine so. I know that, our primary grant writer person recently accepted a position at
Sure.
Tech, but, I think that she'd be really good point of contacts at K-Stowe.
Yeah.
Reach out to her.
Yeah, you wanna find out from her, we just gauge some interest, and then if they can meet at our next meeting, okay, if they, it's gonna be that we miss a bunch of them, maybe we have to have another meeting at a different time to get them together, just for this, I mean, we don't have to, but, I think he's got enough positives there that it's worth that kind of getting people in front, as long as we can match up with Brian's schedule, sorry.
I can reach out to Julie, Barry, with Stephanie, Legacy, and maybe even Keith Howard with the Healthy Communities Initiative.
Another group that would,
Yeah.
It would be wise to contact, King Size Hospital, or King Size Norton, but,
sure.
And
Well,
DH.
I mean, we can drag Dr. Murphy back in, because he's supposedly with the group that's looking to do the,
YMCA.
well, yeah, that fitness or community center, and that's another spot that, you know, it doesn't all have to be inside, it could be some outside. So that's another thing another site that might be a positive. So, yeah, I can reach out to him to get that group I need to keep bugging him because he needs to give us another person, and I'm not gonna let him off the hook that easy, so.
Even if we were able to, have a good one spot, because you're so good at making posters and doing things out. But even if we were able to put small little posters in our local gyms that we have here that are owned by our communities, so that they would know if this is something that they need to be aware of. And then we'll want to get more music out of it,
or Brian, y'all already have like an info poster to put out there?
put out there.
Cause I would hate to not do your brand justice.
We, not a hard material. It is digitally activated. I think somebody mentioned, sharing the video. I think that's key. So it's right on the website. It's nationalfitnesscampaign.com/watch has that campaign video. And I think that more than anything, would be where I point to.
So is it, like a QR
I
code?
know that you can just post on the wall a QR code.
That's what I was thinking, and then your little, just a little card
Sure.
where they could do that. So.
Yeah, that would get people talking.
Jane's so very talented. Oh, because I'm putting her on the spot, but she's so talented.
Right, I've already got on my list to make something for some of the events coming up this month. I can make things.
Very talented.
I can also reach out to the Hanover Community Garden because they have such a space that is meant to be a community space. I think they would be interested in possibly collaborating in something like this since they are health centered as well.
Is it the kindergarten? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think, Brian, we need to do a little homework, and, as we do the homework this time, that I dropped the ball last time, but, we'll get that done, and then we'll get back in touch with you and, see, meeting wise, you can give us some dates, I can tell you when the next meeting's gonna be, June 27th.
Yep, June 27th.
If you're available then, and if not, we'll try to shoot for that, but if not, we'll be flexible when we look at the other leadership support and see what their availability is. So.
Yeah, I'll put that date on my calendar, and then David, I'll just get up with you directly. I'll send you an email right here with
Okay.
that video with the briefing deck. I'll also include my phone number. Please, if anybody has any questions directly, feel free to share that with the group. I'd be happy to address by email or by phone.
Okay. Thanks for your presentation. I'm still as excited as I was when it happened last year, and I think it just has a lot of neat things involved with it, that. When they opened the pool, they had a pool that had been, they were just gonna rehab it, but had to do some major reconstruction on it, and that opened, this past week. And, I just kind of related a story, when I was in the Army and I'd go out to this small island. The first time I went out there, they had 3 TV channels, and so not much going on inside, but they had a pool, par 3 golf course, a softball, I mean, all those things were used, and they brought in cable, and it all died. And I think we're trying to bring some of that back, trying to break that trend in our society where people would rather stay home and stay in rather than getting out. And the interaction thing is another thing. It's, when I was teaching, I used to have Engage Fridays, because the kids wouldn't look at you, and I would say, hey, you gotta look at me. You gotta look at me on Friday. Just look up and look at people, and we need more of that. We're getting so much from just hiding away in our houses that, anyway, a lot of positives there, so.
Well, thank you all very much again, and I'll depart now, but thank you for the time. Thank you for the great questions, and looking forward to the next steps.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
And for us, just a couple of things. I know KDH was mentioned, but was there a person to contact?
That would probably be Heather Floyd.
Okay. Did someone want to reach out to her?
I can reach out to her, since she's a county council person too. I was gonna do her and Dr. Murphy. He didn't get off the hook that easy.
All right, I've got him on here, and
Yep.
I bet DJ does too, so. I tried to reach out to that group to let them know that he has, kind of left our organization or our commission, but they can reach out to me, but I haven't heard back, so. I might follow up with them again about that, just to make sure. But they're welcome to reach out to him, but they'll stay in touch with us, so.
Sure.
Make those connections. All right. Okay, any other discussion on that?
Neat.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
I was too. I mean, the thing for all the different things that you can do, and it's kind of a concentrated area, something that's built to last. Like you said, they had and they showed them, but they had that little QR code, and you could download an app and it would show you how to do that exercise.
And it looks like, I don't know, maybe some of the samples that they still had maybe some photos on the wall.
Right, and some little,
Because like some of our older generation may not have smartphones and be doing
Right,
that, so I
right.
like that there's still that visual there.
I think that showed you how you could do each of the exercises. And I think the app more or less took you through a series of exercises.
Sure.
So oftentimes I don't know, you have a feeling what you need to work on, and you can do that without necessarily having that.
I also imagine that helps with just the accessibility concern, that's the big focus.
Yeah, that equity. The free. Hotel.
Very interesting. Yeah, I hope it happens. Should we turn this off so we don't get motion sick?
Oh.
Okay. All right. So that was time for public input. Now we have another Brian. Did you have anything, or were you just here for that?
I was just here for that.
Okay, great.
I don't mean to be rude, but one of my grandchildren is staying with us this week, so I want to go play with them.
All right, thanks for coming. Have a great night.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. No, thank you. And, I gave my card, anything I can do. I work with the commissioners, so anything I can do to help out.
We'll have DJ put all your info in the minutes.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
My only suggestion would be, it'd be great if we could meet with them in June. But if we want to really get the word out and make sure that we have like information out, whether it be the festivities are coming up here soon. I think I'd be with us to not rush into having them come in necessarily in June, but maybe July. So we have more time to
Sure.
get that information and people have more time to plan.
I think the only reason I would want June is if some of these leaders can come, because if we can get them kind of on board quickly, then I think we can move forward. And then if that's the case, then have a kind of a broader advertising for it. Cause it, if we go out and say, hey, this is what we want to do, and then they're like, I got other stuff I'm gonna do this year. And then, so I think it'd be good to get their kind of buy-in right off the bat. I think there will be, I think they're gonna be, the one thing that was kind of an issue last year was funding, but I think, I mean, Bethany Legacy Foundation, I think would be a big help for folks, even if it's not all of it, but at least part of it to help us get moving forward. So,
Yeah, and I mean, if they need more like inertia towards mental health, we could always like, strategically include places like the Recovery Cafe and things like that on whatever trail it is.
Mhm.
Make sure that those sites specifically are targeted, and like high stress environments and that kind of thing. A particular intersection that I find stressful by the courthouse. That one would be a fun one, but of course you can't intersect in the middle of the intersection, but maybe nearby.
Yeah.
Nearby. All right.
We have flash dance in the water.
All right, is there any more public input? I think no. So next, follow up on action items from our previous meeting. I had an action item to check in with the Madison Pride celebration to see if we could have a space at their event, just to spread more awareness of our existence. And we are all set up for that. I contacted Tom Stark. I have his contact info. He's setting up that event. It's from noon to 5 on June 8th, which is next Saturday. I was not going to be in town, but I might be now. I'm like 96% sure I'll be in town now. So I can help.
So that's, yeah, what I wanted to ask tonight, because I can be at the table from noon to 5. If anyone else is
Yeah.
going to be there and could take a shift, I would love that too, so that I can walk around a bit and whatever. But if not,
I'm in California for a wedding.
Okay. We'll miss you.
I'm working.
I will try to be there.
Okay. Great. So we can triangulate all of that.
and I think I have a card table I can borrow from somebody or something, so.
And I just got a camping table.
I know. I
We'll
think
bring
I can
some-
just take that and have it. But are you gonna make informationals or, okay,
It's on my to-do list.
okay, awesome.
So I will note that. And if I can get that QR code, then I'll add it to it so that we can talk about all that along with just what we do.
Yeah.
Or even applications to become a member.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe I'll just, if we can get that video on on the website, I'll just try to, I think I've done it before, make a QR code for our website,
Yeah,
for the county website.
That'd be
that
smart.
highlights it.
yeah.
Okay. Let me,
Jane,
I
you're so
don't
talented.
forget it. Alright, and we're- and then Jane, I'm not making my own minutes, I just like to make my own notes. And Amanda. All right, great. Yes, especially depending on the weather, I don't want everybody to have to be there the whole time, so we'll figure out. Cool. All right, so that is set. I assume we also have to set up early, not right at noon.
Yeah, Larry has sent me.
I'll reach out to Tom again. I had originally told him that I wasn't gonna be able to be there, but I'll let him know that I will be there so that he can send me info as well. So yeah, any questions about that?
It's gonna be at Lanier, right?
Yep,
Okay.
1 year. Okay. Should be fun. We'll have a lot of food trucks, so I'm excited about that. Website update, I think we wanted an update to where there was just more info on the application page, and that is done. I have housing support resources.
So it's the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. I will send you a link that we can put in the minutes, but they've got different resources that the people can use, or at least figure out if they can use for help in housing. So,
Is that on the website too?
well, this is in Indiana, a state of Indiana, but we can put that link, yeah, on it.
Our website's gonna be like a
Oh, man.
hodgepodge.
We're just gonna be linked all over the place, but that's good.
Right, I mean, when we wanted, kind of, we put that link up front to get to these resources. Do we want to add this to that one?
I think so.
And kind of highlight a couple that are there, so. I mean, they have, I
It's,
don't, Community Action Agency. Those are local, private, and public nonprofit organizations that promote self-sufficiency and work to reduce the causes and conditions of poverty. So they're one in, there's 22 in Indiana to serve all 92 counties. So I will find out where the closest one is, and maybe we get them to come, that agency to come to one of our meetings to kind of highlight what services they offer. Because once again, it's, these things get in a government website, and then trying to find it is like trying to find the needle in a haystack. So maybe that would be a good way to kind of get that information out. We'll get it on the website, but we'll also try to invite whatever the closest one is to come to one of our meetings.
we have helpful health links and helpful human relations links. Would that be under human relations, housing, it's not health specific?
Probably.
Okay, great. So you'll contact Sarah about getting that on there? Okay, great. We'll make that an action. Next is progress on safe passages training at the jail.
I haven't heard anything, so I'll reach out to the sheriff. I have to meet with him anyway, so I'll add that to my thing.
Another action, great. And then the last one I had, was applications for new commission members. We can all keep telling people, because we have one and we need.
I did send it to 2 people today, so they seemed interested, so maybe.
Yeah, and maybe our outreach this month will also be helpful. So we'll see, because if we have more interest than we need, we can keep people in our list, depending on how it goes. So,
I also, I'm just remembering this now, but I had sent out, I think, an email to everybody after Safe Passages had came. She had requested we do like a survey. And I don't think any of us have done it. So can we maybe put that on the action? DJ, that maybe I'll print off some copies and bring it to our next meeting.
okay,
Even though it's been a while, I think. It'd be
yeah,
nice of her to come and give info, and I want to give her
and we have a
feedback.
video we can watch to remind ourselves.
Right.
We can do that. I
Okay.
remember it vividly. Okay. Please action. Great, we're so busy. All right, were there any other action items that I did not remember were on the list?
We had you secured a table, the commission purpose statement vetted the application. We got the update from Housing Support Resources from Taylor Bramer. We'll make introduction to help clinic safe passages training in jail. We'll get an update there. No, I think that we did all the things.
Okay, great. Perfect, all right. Commission members offer any new business is our next agenda item, and just to start, since we were talking about the Pride celebration that we talked about in the last meeting, there's a few other things that I've seen that are going on this upcoming month. So it'd be great to have people out if we can. Let's see, one is that Ivy Tech is hosting a dinner discussion for Pride, where you basically come and listen to people in the LGBTQIA plus community that live in this community. So it's essentially a listening session. You do need to RSVP. It's Thursday, June 13th.
I did RSVP to that.
Okay, so we will at least have Cammy. I'm gonna see how I'm doing. Cause I'm about to be gone for 2 weeks right before that, so.
You said it's for LGBT community members?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's open to everybody. It's a listening session, but the speakers are in the LGBT community, as like a pride event. So yeah, maybe I'll see you there. We'll have Cammy there for sure. So Cammy can give us any feedback or, updates from that. If you need info on the Juneteenth events coming up later in the month, Tamika has posters. Just as a lowdown of what's happening for Juneteenth, Saturday, the 22nd of June, there's a 5K in the morning and a cornhole tournament, in the afternoon. And then on Sunday, the 23rd, there's a picnic on Linear Lawn from 3 to 7, and it's just a fun event. There's no tables or anything from what I understand, so it's just like being in the community. And then on Monday, the 24th, there's a documentary at the public library from 5:30 to 6:45. So yeah, and I'm gonna miss all of it, and I'm so sad. But let me know how it goes. I assume Tamika's gonna be at most of those things.
I'll be at all of them.
Yes, the family affair. Yes. But please go if you can. These are really great events. With entertainment and everything.
There'll be food vendors on that Sundays, you know, food vendors. You also have other vendors where people, there's African jewelry, there are books, some of them are authors from this area, they're just moved away. There'll also be food that you can buy to take home, cans, things, just different things of that nature. Of course, there'll be dancing and line dancing, and then there'll be a DJ and a band there and that'll be all on that Sunday. That Saturday with the 5K run, there's also a free kids run. And that's completely free to kids. And they have a blast. They have the best time in the world. I think they have more fun than anything. The 5K run is pretty spectacular because it gives off all the landmarks from where older houses were in the Black community, and the significance of those houses and the significance of those particular streets. So even if you're not a runner or a walker and you just want to learn some of the history of Madison that has been erased, you'll not only have the information, but you also have the visual information that you can take photos. There's a lot of people that actually run the whole thing and then go back and walk it so you can read all the information and good pictures and find out more information.
Yeah, and if you are around and want to volunteer to help out with anything, I think Tamika can help you figure out how to do that.
The more the merrier.
And speaking of volunteers, I heard from Mike Sims with the Kindness Group. They are still looking for volunteers for the SAV vehicle. I think that they've gotten quite a few volunteers, and I think we've helped them out in some of the outreach with the volunteers that they have. So it may be worth like reaching out to people that may be good partners there. Maybe mention that to Dr. Murphy when we talk to him again with the hospital. I think that their real need for more volunteers is just that they are planning on being at the 4-H fairgrounds for the 4-H fair, which is just a really long event over many days. So I think that they're really trying to get more volunteers so that they can be there for the whole time and have access to the vehicle the whole time. So yes, just plug that for you if you can. I think those were all the things. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to bring up, an event or just anything going on? So just add to our record.
No, I know they have already announced a date for the Spanish, festival in September.
September, yeah, it's a Saturday, and I think it's like the 21st. Cause it's always my husband's birthday.
Isn't it normally the week after Chautauqua?
It's usually at the same time as the Broadway reunion
Right.
too.
So is that the week after Chautauqua or the week before Chautauqua?
I don't know. I don't know when Chautauqua is. I feel like they've mixed that up a little bit and changed.
What was the name of the festival?
Hispanic Cultural Awareness Day,
Yeah.
and it is Saturday, September 21st, 4:30 to 10:30 at Eggleston.
We had a table up last year. Is that something we would like to do again?
I'll be gone for the.
Oh, yeah. I might be here. It depends on what birthday events I have to do. But probably be here.
I'm already hosting a picnic.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Well, we'll sort that out. We have a few months,
Yeah.
but yeah. Usually those two events are really great, so I hope we can go to both this
You
year.
know, I hate to miss those empanadas.
Priorities.
All right. Okay, any other things? All right, the next thing I had on the agenda is to set meeting dates for August and September. Phone away because it was buzzing a lot because important things were happening in the world, I guess.
Yes, apparently.
So calendar wise, August, the final Thursday in August. Is the 29th. I should be able to do that, I think. I don't have anything that day. Does anybody have any conflicts that? Okay.
So I think that's the first week of school. I think classes start on the 26th.
Right, so August 29th. And then September 26th. Any conflicts September 26th?
July, sorry, it's a commission meeting.
Oh, do we need to move that one?
It's okay.
I will also not be present in July.
Okay.
We want to see when other people can meet, if we're gonna do more on the. No, we'll have
Yeah.
one, but kind of,
If we're gonna try to invite people to that meeting to talk about the fitness center thing.
we'll see, leave it open and move it around just in case, so. Yeah, we can meet together.
Yeah, we could look at. Yeah, look at schedules, because mine's still kind of up in the air, so I don't really know.
Good.
Yeah, we could put that in the minutes to talk about July dates, since there's a conflict with the commissioner meeting. And I'll try to remember to let somebody know
Which would make sense.
what my availability is. So that could be an action step, everybody check their availability in late July. So you can move that meeting around.
We should know by next meeting, what the availability of folks are.
Okay. Well, Tamika, we were just saying that, July, our July 25th meeting date may not work out because there's a commissioner meeting that night.
Okay.
So look at your schedule so that maybe we can try to like collaboratively find a good date for all of us to meet, but also for the people we're talking to about this fitness, thing.
So are we gonna ask them about meeting in June though, and if they can't?
Well, I think some of the folks, yes. So
Okay,
I think the city, someone from the city, someone from the hospital, some of those groups, yeah. But
Okay.
if we're gonna try to do a broader,
I got you,
maybe we
I got
can
you.
do a little more
Okay.
informational.
Maybe just the ones that we have listed to talk
For
to
June.
for June.
I got you.
And then in the June meeting, I'll go and put that down for meeting minutes for next time.
Maybe we can figure out in June after that, during that meeting, it's more convenient for them also.
Right.
For July,
Because,
for an April, or July meeting.
Okay,
Like the office already.
okay, all right, so that's all I have. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a movement to adjourn this meeting.
Oh, okay.
Got a second, so we are adjourned and we'll meet again in June.